Have you ever imagined someone pulling a human brain out with a metal hook through the nose over 3,000 years ago? This isn't a horror movie scene. It was a real ritual that existed for centuries in ancient Egyptian civilization. And the most chilling part? Modern-day archaeologists have uncovered real physical evidence of this practice inside the preserved skull of a recently excavated mummy. And from that shocking discovery, a series of secrets about spiritual beliefs, religious rituals, and ancient surgical techniques began to unravel. Secrets that might just make us question how humanity once understood death itself. In 2021, an archaeological team from Egypt and Italy made a discovery that stunned the world. In the ancient necropolis of Saqqara, the burial ground of countless priests and nobles, they unearthed a female mummy, believed to have belonged to an aristocratic woman from Egypt's 21st dynasty, around 1000 BC. What stood out wasn't the linen wrappings or the jewelry buried with her. It was her skull. CT scans revealed a small hole punctured through the ethmoid bone, right behind the nose. This perfectly matched ancient records. During the mummification process, Egyptians used a metal instrument inserted through the nostril to break into the skull and then extract the brain piece by piece. Barbaric? Perhaps. But to the ancient Egyptians, this was a sacred act. They believed the heart was the seat of the soul, while the brain, ironically, was just excess flesh that hindered the journey to the afterlife. So the brain had to be removed, but in an extremely precise way, without deforming the face or causing blood to spill from the eyes or mouth, as that was seen as a bad omen. This wasn't just surgery. It was a spiritual ritual of the highest order, demanding absolute precision. And the most incredible part? They pulled it off, over 3,000 years ago, without scalpels or modern tools. The more archaeologists studied, the more obsessed they became with the technique. They found traces of resin, essential oils, and an unknown substance inside the emptied skull. Turns out, it wasn't just about removing the brain. The cavity was then purified, perfumed, and ritually sealed, as a means of preparing the soul for its celestial journey. An ancient hieroglyphic text even described each step of this ritual, including a recurring phrase, "Free the mind, so the soul may rise." But that's not all. The Saqqara discovery led to a controversial theory. Could it be that ancient Egyptians didn't see death as an end, but rather as a process of reconstructing the body? Tomb wall paintings often depict the dead entering the Hall of Judgment, where their hearts are weighed by Osiris. But now, thanks to actual archaeological evidence, punctured skulls, inner cranial cleansing, and surgical tools, scholars are asking a bigger question. Was mummification more than just preservation? Was it a kind of biological re-engineering, a way to rebuild the body for a second life? Some Western scholars have even called it ancient immortality technology. Sounds far-fetched? Perhaps. But we can't deny this. What the ancients accomplished, without scalpels, lights, or anesthesia, still defies modern understanding. Think about it. A civilization that lived 3,000 years ago had mastered the technique of inserting medical tools through the nose, reaching the brain, and removing it without damaging the facial bones. Meanwhile, we, despite having walked on Mars, still rely on traditional brain surgery methods. The discovery of this hook-through-the-skull technique didn't just shake the archaeological world because of its surgical implications. It also forces us to reflect on something deeper: how ancient people understood death and the soul. To them, death wasn't the end. It was a ceremony, a work of art, a gateway. And that metal hook wasn't just a surgical tool. It was a key, unlocking a different realm. A realm of spirits, beliefs, and mysteries that, even 3,000 years later, we are only beginning to understand. So next time you look at a lifeless, linen-wrapped mummy, don't just see a corpse. See an entire civilization whispering to us across time about how they prepared to meet eternity.